And now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
This is your RBLR Race podcast. I'm your host, Zach Dobb, along with my co-host, Pat Davenport. Pat, how you doing?
Praise be to our new Lord and Savior. I think we need to rename the show, in fact. I think we need to say hello and welcome to our RBLR Sky Rays show. Because, oh my goodness, they are here. The Sky Rays have dropped. The Sky Rays have come from above and blessed us with one of the most electrifying wins of the year. And I'm so glad I stayed up till 3 a.m. last night to watch that one, because I wasn't going to miss the debut of these City Connects for the world. And what a win, what a game to reward us for that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I could have asked for much more than we got. There was like the first couple innings was like, oh no, is this just going to be a continuation of everything? Are the vibes not different? And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the vibes just were immaculate, and it stayed that way through the rest of the game, notwithstanding a couple late runs given up by Aaron Spaley. But it doesn't matter. It's okay. It was an immaculate night. It was awesome seeing the fans there, the support for Randy Arozarena, who really deserved it, and rewarded that support with an absolute tape measure shot. I mean, it was a great game. It felt like the Rays truly got back up off the mat, like the Undertaker meme, like they were up, ready to go, and kind of started this season back over again. So it was about everything that I could have imagined from that City Connect debut.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird, wasn't it? Because we came off that horrid sweep courtesy of the Chicago White Sox last weekend when we last talked live, where the vibes could perhaps never be more off than they were last Sunday night when we recorded last. And then all of a sudden, Monday, they drop the City Connect reveal, they have the press conference, they drop the video, they put them all on for sale in the team store and online, and suddenly everyone forgot about how rough the season was. And it's amazing what just like a good uniform can do. Everyone was just like, actually, the Rays haven't been very good, but it doesn't matter because we got the best City Connect uniforms in the game, right? Because I don't know about you, were you nervous about the City Connects? Because I know we talked a big game last week where we said it would save the Rays season. I'm so glad we were right so far, but like they've been a pretty hit and miss collection depending on the team, and I was worried the Rays might have been given a short straw by Nike because they might have been like, it's only the Rays, who cares? But oh my gosh, I was blown away.
I think the reason why I wasn't was because we have seen as Rays fans over the last several years the way that the advertising, which they may not be given as much like, play on the airwaves as they deserve relative to the quality that they produce. But I mean, if you're a Rays fan, you've seen the amazing just like branding, I would say, the Rays have had over the last several years. They have a very unique and like consistently vibrant, bright brand. And I was pretty confident that that was going to show over into the City Connects, especially as it became clear that as I was looking into it a little bit more, that for the most part, the individual teams have say in how they look, and they are a part of the creative process, not just Nike making them. So once I learned that, I was pretty confident they were going to be fire, because really, when you look at social media, when you look at the advertising, it's always immaculate. It's just whether or not they get the airtime to broadcast that, because sometimes it being a smart market, we don't get to see the advertising, but the advertising itself is usually really, really good.
That's very true, and big shout out to everyone that was involved in the design and creation of that uniform, because not only does the uniform itself look fire, but the three kind of big logos that came out of it are all excellent as well.
Yes.
Like, so obviously we've got our Sky Ray here, which I absolutely adore, but the Skate Ray as well, I love, and even the Pelican with the palm trees.
I love the Pelican.
Yeah, I'd love to see a cap with that on it as well. It's just excellent. And you know what? As someone that clearly is not from the Tampa Bay area, I ended up learning a lot about the skate culture in Tampa Bay, and all the different factors that went into the design, like the Perry Harvey Senior Park and all of that kind of stuff. It was really, really cool. And yeah, they look good in game. They look good in MLB The Show as well, because they came out in MLB The Show last night, and I've just grinded to unlock them. They just look amazing, and it's amazing when you look good, you just feel good.
You feel good, you play good. And that's good, because the rest of the week outside of last night was not so awesome, but sunnier skies are ahead. We're going to talk about the games that were and the games that will be. We've had quite a bit of roster movement in the throes of all the City Connect stuff. There's been some roster movement, and there's been some guys starting to rehab, and we'll have thoughts about all of that. And we're going to continue our discussion of whether or not roster crunch is a societal construct. You'll hear about it very, very soon. If you're watching us on YouTube, if you're watching us live, thank you for watching us. We really appreciate you. If this is your first show with us, thanks for joining us. We really, really appreciate you guys. We're going to give you guys a fantastic show. And if you have been with us before and you're returning, if you're not already following, then what you doing, man? Hit that follow button, share us around, drop us a like on whatever platform you're watching us on, because that's how you continue to get, whether it's the follow or whatever else, that's how you continue to know when we're going to do this awesome stuff like going live. We're doing it more and more. And if you want to know when we're going live, the follow is how you get there.
Absolutely, and we're going to continue to follow the Rays come rain or shine. Hopefully more shine ahead, and we've weathered the dark and stormy part of the season, because we're into May now, and yeah, we've only played 4 games since we last spoke, and that started with a 3-game set over in Milwaukee to face the Brewers. We won the first game of that series, in fact, a 1-0 pitchers duel, where Ryan Pepio really shined, but the bullpen did too. Not much offense from either side. In fact, the only run scored in that one was because of a bases loaded double play.
Yes.
So, like, that's like the least fun way to score a run perhaps.
Yeah.
And that was the only run of the game. But a win is a win is a win. And then we got pretty badly and soundly beat in the final 2 games of that set. 8-2 in the middle game. Freddie Peralta was really, really good in that game. And then the Willie Adames game on the Wednesday where we got pummeled 7-1. And we're just like, oh, man, we gave up Willie for Wonder. And then Wonder happened. And we could have still had Willie. And it's just sad. But
Brewers
are a good baseball team. Brewers are a good baseball team. We managed to pick up one on the road. We didn't get swept. Anytime you face a good baseball team on the road and you don't get swept, I think that's acceptable. Like, obviously you want to win every series, but if you take 1 out of 3 against a really good team like the Brewers, who may end up winning the NL Central this year, you kind of take that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it for sure. They're 1 game shy of 20 wins, which is kind of where the benchmark is right now for teams. They're a really good baseball team. And, you know, even though we didn't get all of our hits in offensively, Siri got some hits in, which was fun, provided some entertainment in the middle game and in the last game. Well, I was the most shocked by was that Uribe was back out there on the last game of the series because he was appealing his suspension during the game. So he was back out there, which is crazy to me. I was really hoping we would go deep off of him, but nobody could. We got some guys on base, but we couldn't score any runs. But yeah, I mean, road series are hard. Winning the first game really kind of helped us out for the rest of that series because it was clear we just didn't have it. Peralta was excellent until he hit Siri and got ejected. Alexander had a rough start. And in the second game, Ray, who is a guy that I don't know very much about, had a really nice start. I have never seen him before, and he was very, very good. Eflin continues to be pretty good, and like he's putting up innings. He is, he's kind of still oscillating between, good starts and bad starts. This was kind of a middle of the road, 3 runs given up over 6 innings. But I think 3 runs, generally speaking, should be enough to win a game. Bullpen gave up some runs. I got a little frustrated during this series because of some of the ways the bullpen was used. But at the same time, I can't really blame Cash because, the thing that I got frustrated with in it was the last game of the Brewers series is when we brought in Erasmo Ramirez in the 7th inning. And at that time, it was still a 3-run game. And I got frustrated because it's a 3-run game. We could still technically win this was my thought process. And I mean, we had guys on base to, if it had still been a 3-run game, we could have pulled even. Didn't end up going that way because we were struggling until last night to get that one more hit to drive the guys in. And we brought in Erasmo, and he gave up 4 runs almost immediately. And I got really frustrated as a fan. And this is where, I've seen it. We've all seen it. We talked about it last week too. I see all the frustration on social media, and I'm not saying I'm not frustrated because I was very frustrated. Anyone who was on the RBLRA's group chat on that day would saw how frustrated I was. But the frustration in the moment is different than the context after the game where you take a look at it and say, it's a road series in Milwaukee against a really good baseball team. Would I rather use my good bullpen arms there or in our home City Connect series where we're going to be trying to kind of turn over a new leaf and start off a homestand and start moving in the right direction? Would I rather have our bullpen arms for this Brewers game or these games that we have coming up? And of course, Cash is always making the correct decisions there, which is why I'm not a manager. So it was frustrating to lose that series, but at the same time, it's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things because it's a good team on the road out of the American League. It is what it is. Yeah,
I mean, it's one of those things where, in the what was it, the 6th inning when Erasmo came in, the Brewers were already at a plus 80% win probability according to Baseball Savant. So you had a 20% chance to win that game. Is it really worth rolling out Jason Adam and Colin Poche? Well, not Colin Poche, but Jason Adam and your other good relief arms when you've only got a 20% chance to win that game, especially when the offense is in a slide? It's one of those where you go, hey, if Erasmo can just get us the outs, that's fine. And he might keep us in it. He did not keep us in it. But if he keeps us in it, that's a bonus. But really, it's just kind of like, okay, we're probably not going to win this game. So let's save our good arms for the Mets series because you never know how close that might be. And it ended up in that first game being pretty darn close in the end.
It did. And in between the Brewers series and the Mets series that we're in now, there was some unexpected movement. I mean, expected, but the guys that moved were not expected. I think we were all hoping that we would see Junior come up for this series against the Mets. That did not happen. What we did get was quite surprising, at least to me. Johnny DeLuca, which was not overly shocking, he came up, and Alex Jackson, the catcher, came up. That was a shock. Although
Yeah.
it shouldn't be overly shocking. Maybe shouldn't have been as shocking as it was, at least to me, because he has been leading the Durham Bulls in home runs so
Yeah.
far this season. So he's been really good down there. So he definitely deserved coming up. The thing that was odd was seeing Pinto go down, and I mean Goodrum going down was not a surprise. But then also seeing Kobe White get DFA'd. So what are your thoughts on all those moves?
All right, let's do it one at a time. Let's talk about DeLuca first. I mean, obvious DeLuca call up. He was doing really well in his rehab at AAA, recovering from the broken hand he sustained in spring training. He is the only obvious choice that could play center field while Siri is suspended. So it made sense to bring him up, unless you wanted to go on an adventure and play Randy in center field again. I don't know if they wanted to roll that dice when DeLuca's like ready to go. So that was an obvious one. Of course, Goodrum sent down to AAA. We knew he was going to be the first one kind of sent down. If not him, then Shenton. But yeah, made complete sense. And I really liked what I saw from DeLuca yesterday. He's got good bat to ball skills. He's super fast. He's a good defender. I think he's going to be a really key part to this team. Late to the party, but I think he's going to be sticking around till the end now. I don't think he's going to be sent down, barring something drastic happening performance wise. I think he's going to be a really solid player for us, and him and Pepio will prove to be just a fantastic return if we did have to trade Tyler Glass now. Then we got Alex Jackson coming up. Now that was the more head scratchy move, I think, particularly because it was Pinto being optioned to AAA. Now Pinto didn't play in the back end of that Milwaukee series, and I wasn't sure if he was hurt or what, or if it was a matchups thing, but he didn't play in the Brewers series and then all of a sudden optioned, which is interesting. I don't know if this took you by surprise. It took me by surprise for sure, because like everyone talks about how good Pinto is defensively. The framing metrics haven't really illustrated that, but it takes a bit longer than the sample size we've played to kind of get an accurate picture on his framing. But everyone says his game calling is really good, and the Rays, have constantly backed him and picked him up as a player, and he was going to be starting catcher numero uno all the way until the day before the regular season started, and now he's been optioned. He's hitting to a 109 WRC plus, like he's been an above average hitter. Yeah, so I don't know what's going on there. That really baffled me. Like, I like Alex Jackson. He's earned a call-up for how well he's played in AAA. He's got 7 home runs down with Durham, and he's hitting 284. So, like, a deserved call-up, and he is a good defender. The Rays really like his defensive skills, so he was probably going to be the backup if we didn't get Rotvet, so that's fine. He's got a lot of power in the bat, too. So I'm happy for Alex Jackson, but what is going on with Rene Pinto? Do you have any theories on that?
So I think it's a little bit of what's going on with Alex Jackson and what's going on with Rene Pinto. Starting with Alex Jackson, I think some context. Well, a lot of times we assume that guys who are in the minors or AAA are super young. Alex Jackson is 28, and he's been in MLB since 2014. Or has been a part of Major League Baseball in the minors since 2018 or 2014. So he's kind of a veteran right now. And a lot of times veteran guys who are in the minors have have things baked into their contracts that we're not privy to that, necessitate being up at the majors for some point during, early on in the season or at some point during the year. And it could be the Rays are just trying to, give him that opportunity. He obviously was hitting well enough to earn that spot. And, I think this could be here's my theory. This is a phantom IL stint without it being phantom IL, because the Rays don't think he's actually going to need the full 15-ish days to be on the IL, and they're going to bring him back up sooner than that, but they do want to give him some time off his feet a little bit, and are using an option down to Durham as a way to do that. Because my theory since the beginning of the year, since we started seeing more of Rortvedt than we thought was that the Rays are planning to backload Pinto's innings at catcher towards the back end of the year. And right now, they're just getting him off his feet as much as they can because they intend to start him for the majority of the back half of the season. I don't know if that's true or not. That's my theory. And to me, this kind of continues to play into it. They're getting Pinto off his feet. They're taking pressure off of him literally by putting him back down in the minors and allowing him to take a couple days if he's dealing with something to get over that or whatever it may be, and giving Alex Jackson a couple of days in the majors. I don't think he's going to stay very long. I don't think he's better than Rortvedt. And I don't think he's better than Pinto, although he's hit really well so far, which has been great. I don't think Alex Jackson's framing is as good as Pinto's is. He was fine last night. He wasn't terrible or anything. But, I mean, I think, catching metrics are tough when you look at, framing metrics and all that kind of stuff. I think they're useful and they can be pretty accurate. But, I don't know that they're the end-all, be-all. The fact that the Rays put so much confidence in Pinto, they're not an organization that just turns on a dime there. So I don't believe they're just giving up on him. I really do think they are backloading his innings because at the end of the day, catcher is a tough position to play for a full season. And they may look at it as, hey, we're going to need X amount of guys to catch X amount of innings this year. We don't really care the order in which those guys catch those innings. And if it makes more sense for us right now to have Alex Jackson catch the 30 or 40 innings we think he's going to end up catching at the major league level this year now, as opposed to later in the season or like interspliced, and for Rortvedt to catch his however many innings now, as opposed to, later in the season or spliced throughout, and then let Pinto catch his majority of the innings later in the year, I think they don't really care the order of all of that. And right now it just seems like they're playing the hot hand with the bat because they know we have been struggling offensively. So they're looking for ways to inject a little bit of offense while also, achieving some goals of getting Pinto off his feet a little bit. So it's an easy way to kind of hit two birds with one stone because you can't really inject guys who are hitting decently at too many other positions because you've got established guys there that have no real reason to not be playing their positions. Whereas Pinto, you could say, yeah, we do not want Pinto catching 162 games. Nobody catches 162 games anymore. Most guys are catching like 110, 120, even the really, really good catchers. Like that's just kind of normal. So if we can, reduce some of that workload on Pinto, then I think they're okay with that. And that's what it looks like to me.
Right. Yeah, I can buy that explanation. So the way it works is when you get optioned to the minors, you've got to spend at least 10 days there before you can be recalled. So that's like about the same as an IL, right? So I don't know what that does unless they're just scared of what happened about punishments regarding phantom IL stints. So they're trying to stay away from them.
Yeah, I think he also can still play. Like he could still play a little bit because if you put him on the IL, he can't play at that entire time. So if they do want to keep him fresh a little bit, I think to bring him back up. So I think he may take a couple of days off and then play a little bit more towards the end of that.
Yeah, I do like the theory that Alex Jackson just wants to. He might have a clause in his contract that means he could opt out if he wasn't on a major league roster by X amount of time. So this is a way of bringing him up and keeping him in the system because they like him. It's all just a bit weird because, like you said, the Rays don't really deviate from their evaluations quickly. They really believe in what they think and how they evaluate their players, and it would take a lot for them to change their minds. And when Pinto has been performing at the plate, it would be even weirder for them to go, he's not working out when he's hitting above average overall on the season. So, yeah, I guess give it a couple weeks. If he's straight back up after the 10 days, I think that would kind of settle the argument in favor of Uzak. But if he's down there for longer, I think we've got to take a much deeper dive into this.
I agree with you there because that is my expectation. And if he truly is down there longer, then I agree. There is definitely a conversation that we need to have to kind of dive into this a little bit more. I think it's easy to forget. We mentioned at the beginning of the year that Pinto was the longest tenured Ray right now. And he's been with the organization since 2014. And I just really can't see a world in which they're just going to move on from that. Because they've clearly stuck with him for this long because they believe in him. He knows the staff. That's the other reason too why I think we've been seeing more of some of these other catchers like Rortvedt earlier in the year is because Rortvedt didn't get a spring training with the team, so he doesn't know the pitchers that well. So he's having to learn them. And if he's going to be a bench bat, he needs to have some knowledge of the pitching staff. So he's kind of in spring training a little bit when it comes to just catching the pitching staff during the regular season because of the nature of things. So, that kind of is what it is. But I agree. I mean, if he stays down there for much longer than the 10-day minimum, I do agree that I have a lot of questions, because that would really start to, pop up like what's going on, like what is the plan? Because at that point you're looking at Alex Jackson and Ben Rortvedt for the majority of the season is what you're telling me. That's what it's going to be, which is not what we expected at all. So I just going to have a lot of questions if that is what ends up happening.
Yeah, I really wish we had a quote from Cash or Neander or someone just like kind of giving us a little bit of something, even if it was a lie, just being like, we need him to work on something, like just anything so we could get, but currently there's no transparency, so we just have to kind of wait and guess. Hopefully it is something that's not actually concerning and it is a getting him off his feet situation, because if they have noticed something that desperately needs attention in the minor leagues, then we might I don't know, we'd have to completely rethink how catching works in this team, which is something that I did not expect to be having a conversation about a week ago.
I know.
So we'll see.
And
then the other roster move that happened was to make room on the 40-man. Colby White was DFA'd as well. Long time relief pitcher prospect that was really high on a lot of relief pitcher prospect rankings a couple of years ago, but then he got really derailed by some Tommy John surgery, and he's not been able to quite recapture his old form since. He's been trying, but it's not been quite working out for him. And the Rays have decided to cut ties. I mean, I know Colby White was a guy you were super into, Zach, so I'll let you kind of take the lead on this one.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, because what we've just seen, if you've watched him play at all, or if you've been following him, it's the fastball is just not coming back, at least not quickly. And the Rays, I think, are making a decision to say, hey, it's not working out. Like, you're not gonna be a part of our organization significantly going forward. So in my opinion, cutting him loose is the right thing to do, because you let him have a chance to go find a space with another organization and maybe make those adjustments he needs. If he needs to change his arsenal, which he may need to, if the fastball truly isn't going to come back. He's got a splitter that's really nice and some other breaking pitches that have been doing well since he's returned, but the fastball is just not there. And it's tough when, like, he wasn't like only a fastball guy, but the fastball was a significant part of what he was as a reliever. And if you are a reliever, generally you want a pretty good fastball for the most part, unless you're Phil Maton. Generally speaking, you're going to want a really good fastball, and he doesn't have that right now. So I think he's going to find a team that's going to give him a little bit longer of a leash and let him have some more time. I think, as we've discussed before, the Rays have a lot of pitching arms that they're constantly moving up and down throughout the organization. And if there is somebody who they don't think really either provides value from an innings eating perspective, to give that space for their other guys who they are developing, or is a really high level developing prospect that they believe can impact the major leagues, they're not really just going to keep you around. They're going to say, we don't think it's going to work out. Go find another organization. And I do think he will get picked up by someone. I'm not sure who yet, but I haven't really looked into who needs, who's, availability at their minor league level that needs some relief guys. I haven't really looked into it too deeply, but I do think someone will pick him up. I do think he could make his way onto a major league roster someday, but it's probably going to come after either he somehow magically finds his fastball again, or he does a lot of adjustments to his repertoire to compensate for the fact that the fastball is just not what it was.
Competition in this Rays system, especially for pitchers, is really high. And once you get to AAA, you're essentially the Rays B team, because we move guys up and down a lot. And unfortunately, roster spots are a valuable commodity. And if the Rays can't really afford to have a guy that they don't think is going to provide any value on the major league roster, even at AAA, if they don't think they can be used in a major league game, they're probably not going to be on your AAA team for a team that really depends on their depth in the minor leagues. So it's unfortunate for Colby White, but there will be teams that will be more than happy, I think, to take on a kind of development project with Colby and hopefully help him either regain that stuff or retool his arsenal. But there will be teams that I think will have more patience for that and have the kind of capacity to have the patience for that. But currently the Rays are, trying to win ball games. It's not working entirely, but they are trying to win ball games. And we got to have as many arms that we could call up at a moment's notice ready to pitch major league games. So unfortunately, it's a tough call. I'm sure it was a tough call. But I just wish Colby all the best in the future. And hopefully he can find something again.
Yeah, I hope so too. I was really high on him, so it's sad to see him go. I was really stunned to see him get DFA. Like as much as I knew that he wasn't performing at what we expected and the fastball wasn't there, I was still surprised to see him go. Because it's as much as the Rays are not, I wanted to say cutthroat, but they do take their roster spot seriously. It is always surprising to see them let a guy go they've been working with for a long time. So it was surprising, but not shocking, maybe is the word. Like surprising to see it happen, but when you look at it from the perspective of all the available data, it's not an unfair or like shocking. It's like it's okay, it makes sense.
Yeah. But after we made the moves and we got Johnny DeLuca up and we got Alex Jackson up and we sent Goodrum and Pinto down and DFA'd Colby White, we had a baseball game last night. We played the New York Metropolitans in a classic exhibition game of the debut of the Sky Rays, and we won. It was a really fun game. We won 10-8 in kind of a slugfest. There was some really big performances up and down the lineup. I mean, Randy was probably one of the big standouts. He went 1 for 2, but with 3 walks and that monster home run, which, can we say, Rays fans, well done for all the work you've done in believing in Randy, because he has been slumping, but they're giving him the standing ovation, making a celebration of him on Randy Land Day, and he repaid that by looking really locked in. He was working really good at bats. 3 walks is a really encouraging sign. And then, of course, that home run, 440 plus.
Destroyed.
Yeah. So a really good performance from him. DeLuca drove in 3, which was a really good performance. Yandy got a couple of hits. Harold picked up 3 hits. So even Ahmed Rosario picked up 3 hits. Caballero picked up 2 hits. It was like up and down the lineup. Every person in the lineup either got on base or drove in a run.
Yeah, Meade had a really nice double, which we've been, we're expecting him to kind of be a doubles machine when he truly locks in. So that's always good to see. Really, and it was kind of a turning point moment in the game where maybe if Meade gets out here, this rally kind of stops. But no, he kept it going, driving a hard double into the right field corner. It was a super, super fun game to watch. That seeing everybody contribute up and down the lineup, seeing the really, really great moments. There were several moments where I thought oh, this is where we don't get the hit. This is where we just bow out and go back in the dugout. But we didn't. We got the hits we've been missing. And this is why we've been saying for so long that we're not panicking, because the opportunities were there this entire stretch. We just weren't capitalizing. And last night we saw what it looks like when the Rays capitalize on those opportunities.
Absolutely. I mean, I believe it was the guys on Raise Your Voice said this best, where it's like, do you really think the baseline of this team is Randy, Yandy, and Siri having career bad slumps? Is that where you expect the team to be all year? No, that's just not how we expect it to happen. And if, Yandy and Randy perform like they did last night and start to turn around their slump and they start to hit well again, and line it up with how well the bottom of the order has actually been pretty much all season, then our lineup's back. And this is what a lineup would look like if our guys at the top of the order were contributing as much as the guys on the bottom. So that's great. My favorite stat from last night, 7 for 12 with runners in scoring position. The fact that we had 12 opportunities with runners in scoring position is impressive in itself. But to get over 500 with runners in scoring position, that's it. That's the secret sauce right there. You can get as many hits as you want, but it's about getting them when there's guys on base, and the Rays were really good at that. And they seem to not be as pressing. They weren't afraid to, hit balls the other way. They weren't afraid to not swing for the fences and just rally with each other. So the confidence seems higher to, go, I'll get a single and I'm completely fine passing it to the next guy because I know they'll back me up. And they were doing that up and down the lineup, which is really, really nice to see as well.
Yeah, of the 13 hits that the Rays got last night, only 3 were extra base hits. Like they were clearly they knew what the opportunity was off of Quintana. They said we can put the ball in play in good spots and get guys home, and they just took advantage of that. He wasn't over. Quintana was bad last night. He just was he was living too much in the zone. And the Rays said instead of we're all going to try to gear up and hit it out of the park, let's just put it in play, hit it over guys' heads, put it in the spots where the guys aren't, and get on base and move the line along 1 or 2 runs at a time, and we saw the dividends. This is the Rays team that we've been expecting and we've been looking for all season. And they're going to get the power moments. They're going to get the Randy huge home runs. They're going to get the doubles by me. Caballero had a double. He had the other extra base hit. You're going to get those extra base hits from those guys. But being willing to say, this is the opportunity right now, just put the ball in play, and we're going to see those positive dividends come in. It was just really good to see that from this team.
Yeah, and it's a shame Savali was not on it last night, my beloved, but he was bad. But the bullpen, like we said last week and weeks previous, it's always that either the bullpen come in and slam the door after an awful start, or the bullpen implode after a great start. This was the former, where it was a bad start by Savali, where he gave up 7 earned runs, couldn't get through the 5th. But then Armstrong, Maton, Kelly gave 3 1/3 scoreless, and then Adam managed to pick up the save. He did give up a big home run to Brett Beatty, but he otherwise slammed the door. It got a bit nervous at the end there, but that's like the Jason Adam experience.
It truly is.
I don't know how he does it, but he's like, listen, I will get the save, but I am going to make it excruciating for you first. Like, I've never he barely ever blows a save, but he will get if he's up 3 runs, he's like, I am up 3 runs, so I need to get the tying run on base before I suddenly turn it on.
Yes. He's like he enjoys the drama. Maybe he's a thespian at heart. He wants to pump up the drama for that last moment where he gets the big pitch to get out of it. There was that I guess was that the other Brewers game where it was like I thought for sure we were going to lose that game and he somehow managed to get out of it, or was that? I think it was the Brewers game.
I think that was because he picked up the save in that.
Yes, he picked up the save barely, and there was the. I guess we could talk about that real fast. There was some controversy with Pinto getting bonked on the back of the head with the bat, and them sending the runners back and calling. Who was that they called out? I can't remember who they called out.
Wasn't it Bowers?
It was Bowers, Rays legend. Maybe not a Rays legend, but former Ray. We'll say former Ray, Jake Bowers. Yes, bonked Pinto on the back of the head. They called him out and sent the runners back to second and third because the ball got by Pinto, which is crazy. And then Adam manages to strike out the last man he faces and get out of there. But yeah, that is the Jason Adam experience. At least that's been the experience recently.
Yeah. Do you remember that game last year where it was against the Yankees and Aaron Judge absolutely clobbered a ball to left center and it died like just in front of the wall, and Adam was like.
That image is that gif of him reacting is one of my favorites.
I feel like he could do that face at pretty much the end of all of his outings. Like, I just about got out of that, but he does do it.
Yep, he gets out of that. Oh man, I remember watching that live and being like, I remember just slumping back in my seat, seeing that ball off the bat, and then jumping back up afterwards.
I love you, Jason Adam, but please, I was saying in the Rays group chat that this was on the way for being a comfy win, and then it was not a comfy win. So we still only have 2 on the season. Yep. Out of our 15 wins, only 2 of them have come in non-save situations. I hate that. But a win is a win is a win is a win is a win
is a win. If you're looking at your wardrobe right now and you're looking through all of the wins that you think you've got in your wardrobe, and you got some decent wins in there, but you've only got 1 or 2 comfy ones. You need some more comfortability for those wins. I can provide that for you at shop.rblrsports.com, where you can get 10% off anything you'd want to buy there with promo code FLAPPY, FLAPPY. Again, I'm going to say it every week. Now is a great time. There's awesome stuff happening with all of the Tampa Bay sports teams, and now is the time to get in on that and show out and get comfy at shop.rblrsports.com. 10% off everything with promo code FLAPPY.
You will grit and glow up your wardrobe, just like the City Connect uniforms. Oh my gosh, it's a good time to wear clothes and be a Rays fan.
It is. It truly is. And if you like those City Connects and you like us, drop us a like. Thanks for continuing to watch with us. For those of you who are live, drop us a like. If you're watching us later, drop us a comment and let us know what you think. So now, as we look back at the week that was, even though it wasn't always positive, let's talk about some positives, not just the game last night. There were some other positives, and that's in our bat and arm of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we'll start with our bat of the week. And that was an agreement between the two of us. And that goes to the one and only Isaac Paredes. Isaac was awesome this week. He's been pretty good all year. Out of our kind of core 4 hitters that aren't on the IL, he's been the most consistent, and he continued that this week. He hit a home run. He hit to a very impressive 214 WRC plus on the week, 600 slugging percentage, 400 batting average, all of the things that you love to see. Yeah, really good week for Isaac, and he's just been an anchor in the middle of our lineup that we can always depend on to have a good at-bat and occasionally poke one out to left field as well.
Yep. Shout out to Randy with the bomb last night. He was in consideration for me for bat of the week just for coming out of nowhere and having a great game last night. But Isaac has earned it so many times this year because he has been that anchor. He's been the guy where the rest of the lineup has struggled. He's been the guy that has continuously provided great results, and super, super grateful for what he's been able to do for this team, because I'm not sure where we would be without him.
Yeah. Fun fact about Randy this week. So this week, Randy got a 106 WRC plus, but hit 077 batting average. Because he literally had like 2 hits this week, but he had the home run and quite a few walks. So it all kind of works out. Yeah,
well,
it all kind of works out.
One of the hallmarks of Randy kind of coming into a good stretch, at least for me, is when we start to see those walks go up. Because the best Randy is patient Randy. And when we get patient Randy, he gets on base a lot. And there was a point last season, and maybe towards the end too, where he was up to above a 400 on base percentage. So that's what good Randy looks like. And if we get back to that, then I think we'll be in really good shape. So shout out to Randy, but Isaac Paredes, bat of the week.
Yeah, maybe we should make a prediction. Maybe Randy will be next week's bat of the week.
I would really love that.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be. I think we may have a close race between Johnny DeLuca and Randy Rosarena for bat of the week next week. But that's just a little prediction.
Okay, so if Randy is our bat of the week next week, I need to get a special shout out on Twitter from you. But if Johnny DeLuca is bat of the week, I will do a tweet of your choice.
Okay, all right.
And if neither is, then we both have to apologize to Eureka for spending time on nothing.
Yep, we will. We absolutely will.
All right, who, Zach, is our well, we're actually in disagreement on our RB alarm of the week. Who is yours?
I think one of the reasons why we might be in disagreement is because my RB alarm of the week is a little bit unorthodox for this week, because it's somebody that we have maybe not given the love that he deserves. Because as I was looking at the Rays pitching stats for the year so far, I noticed that the guy who has put up the most WAR among the pitching staff has not gotten a lot of love in our RB alarm of the week. And even though he didn't pitch this week, he is pitching today, and I'm manifesting a good start for him. That's Zach Littell. He is pitched to a .09 F4 over the start of the season, which leads the team. He's pitched to a 3.27 ERA over 33 innings pitched. He's been really, really, really good. This is also kind of a little bit of a mea culpa for me, because we've had a lot of debates in the Rays group chat about who the ace of the staff is. And Zach Eflin has been my guy for a long time, and I'm still not 100% ready to give that all the way up, but I cannot deny what Zach Littell has done so far this year. And even though he didn't actually pitch this last week, he had a really good start on Saturday, which we did mention that he was really good, or was it Sunday? I forget. Either way, he had a really good start last week that we kind of got snubbed for. So I thought, you know what? It's time to give Zach Littell his flowers. He's going to have a really good start today. I'm manifesting that happening. I'm not going to manifest any other results, but I am going to manifest a Zach Littell great start today. Zach Littell is my arm of the week.
Yeah, we stand our soft contact king. He's so good at working efficiently. If there was a guy that was going to get the next Rays complete game, I think he's the odds-on favorite right now.
You're 100% right about that. I have this really bad habit of every time I watch a game, I am always like, if we get through the first inning and nobody's allowed a hit and there's a low pitch count, I'm like, perfect game or complete game. And I'm like just sitting in it because I've never witnessed a Rays. I don't think I've witnessed a perfect. I've definitely not witnessed a perfect game because there hasn't been one. And I've never witnessed a no hitter except for the combined one we did during the 7-inning game during the COVID season. I've not live witnessed a Rays no hitter. So I'm always like manifesting that to happen because I just really want to see it. And I think Zach Littell could be that guy.
Were you not around for the Matt Garza?
I did not watch it live.
I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it live either because it was during a school night and I was a wee teen back then. It was 14 years ago, people. The Matt Garza no hitter was 14 years ago.
We need another one.
We need another one. Zach Littell could do it. He would need some BABIP luck, I think, because he's not gonna strike out 12 guys en route to a no hitter. But
I feel like sometimes it feels like recently the no hitters have been that way. Like the last couple guys that have gotten no hitters were not like dominant. Like there was a few that have been dominant, but a lot of them have just been like that guy got a no hitter. And so I think if there's ever a time for some BABIP luck to visit a pitcher, I think Zach Littell has earned it.
Yeah, he's been awesome, and he's been the closest thing we've had to a stopper in our staff so far this year. So love Zach Littell. Turns out he's probably going to be a playoff starter this year if he keeps this up. Yeah, which we did not predict at all. So shout out to you, Zach Littell. My arm of the week is someone I gave it to last week as well. It's a back-to-back for my RBL arm of the week, and that is Ryan Pepio. Big Pep himself. He had a pep in his step when he pitched last. He threw 6 shutout innings against the Brewers, back-to-back 6-inning dominant starts for Pepio. He struck out 7. He only gave up 2 hits. He was electric against a Brewers lineup that pretty much had the rest of our staff figured out. So big up to Pepio. If he could have 3, if he has another good start against I think the Yankees would be his next one, then that'll be 3 good starts in a row. And the only thing we were saying about Pepio was his stuff looks great. He has all the capacity to be dominant. It's just about the consistency. And if he puts together 3 starts in a row, then I would say that's pretty consistent, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, really, really hard to argue that. I completely agree with you. He's really answered all the questions I had over the last couple of weeks of that consistency, of being the kind of answer to what we lost in Tyler Glasnow. He's not Tyler Glasnow. Glass is having a fantastic season as well, but to get what we got in Pepio for Glasnow is just a really impressive move by Eric Neander, and we're seeing the faith that they had in this guy being borne out in how he's played. I cannot wait. I feel like at this point, a Pepio start is like appointment television. I want to watch it. He's striking guys out. He is super fun to watch. He is getting more mature every single start. It reminds me of when we were starting to watch McClanahan come into his own, that we watched him go through the ups and downs and get to that maturity level and have that consistency. And then just the in-game maturity that we've seen from him. There's been a couple times where I was wondering, like as a young pitcher, he's got some guys on the base paths. He can be able to come back and continue to have a really nice start. And he's been able to do that multiple times. So really impressive stuff from Pepio. Definitely deserves it.
Absolutely. And no walks in that game against the Brewers as well.
Which we love.
I think while Littell is probably our most consistent starter right now and most likely to throw a complete game, I think the highest upside on the staff right now of people currently healthy is Pepio.
Yeah. I mean, I think Pepio's upside right now is like an SP2 to SP1 right now with what he's putting out there between the swing and miss stuff and just the consistency in the zone and the ability to go through long stretches without walking guys is what you really look for in a top of the line rotation starter. And that's what Pepio's been providing.
Yeah, so Pepio, we love you. Keep it up. But Zach Littell, also a guy that deserves a lot of flowers. Aaron Savali will be back for you, I promise.
We will.
You're almost there. You're
One day.
almost there. All right, we got to talk about injuries because even though we had a couple of guys come up from the minor leagues and we had a guy return from injuries, we've got a lot of other injury stuff on the horizon. So let's talk a little bit about that. Do you want to start or shall I?
I'll start with a couple of guys that are rehabbing right now, and that's Taj Bradley and Josh Lowe. They both returned. Taj has been starting and started again last night. Josh Lowe returned back to rehab, so he is back out there. He's been kind of okay since going back in. He hasn't lit the world on fire yet, so we'll see if he we'll see how long he's down there. What do you think is a good estimate for when we'll see Josh Lowe coming back up?
Ooh, I would say probably not this week, maybe not the week ahead, but let me just double check the schedule. Maybe when we start the road trip against Boston. Yeah, or maybe that Yankee series next weekend. I think, I don't think he's got that much more to prove. I mean, they looked ready to activate him this weekend, and then he just had a couple of days off because of a hamstring thing. So I think they are ready to go. Maybe next weekend for the Yankees series, if not the road trip to Boston.
Yeah, that would make sense. That's kind of what I'm expecting as well. I think he'll just get a little bit more time down there because they just want to be safe, but I think he'll be up soon. The other really, really good news is that both Brandon Lau and Pete Fairbanks are going to start their rehab stints on Tuesday in AAA. That's awesome news. I mean, I made a tweet about it last night as we're starting to see guys coming back. Him getting back out there, both those guys getting back out there and starting to rehab is so huge for this team. Getting those guys back, you talk about your most valuable bullpen arm and maybe your best hitter, both coming back onto the team around the same time, doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, absolutely. When Brandon Lau got an oblique strain, I got a bit worried because those can be fiddly.
Yeah.
But when they said, "Oh, it's only a small one. You should be back soon," even then, I was like, until I see him on the pitch again, then I'm a bit worried because they said that about Mike Trout. They said that about Anthony Rendon. You got to just be careful because those muscle injuries can sometimes appear fine, but actually take ages to heal or feel right. But Brandon Lau going back onto the field to properly rehab is a really encouraging sign. And then if you can have a good week down in AAA, then here he comes back again. You know what I mean? So really, really important to this team. Second base is a bit of a tough position where the Rays are kind of just filling it by committee at the moment, where it's sometimes Rosario, sometimes Meade, and none of I like Rosario, but you want him as kind of the bench utility guy as opposed to the starter. And Meade has not shown that he can play the position particularly well. His bat's getting better, but Brandon Lau is definitely an upgrade on Meade in pretty much all departments of the field. Yeah. So just completely upgrading your second base position is huge. Adding some left-handed power back to the lineup. Perhaps Lau and Lowe turn up at the same time. That would hit different.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, so really, really good. And then it's good to see Pete Fairbanks back. Hopefully he can turn up and kind of hit the ground running because he did not start the season well, had lots of command issues. Hopefully that was all kind of retroactively attributed to that nerve issue.
Yeah.
And now that he's feeling right again, he can actually, be depended on in high leverage innings because Adam is the only guy on the roster right now that's like a definitive high leverage guy right now.
Yeah, Clevenger is kind of that as well, but because Adam has had to be the back end of the bullpen guy, Clevenger has kind of been the fireman for us for the last couple of games. He's the guy who's coming out to try to get out of bad situations, which is normally the role that Adam occupies. So it's been some shuffling. They both performed okay in those roles, but I think having both those guys available for fireman duty and being able to rely on Pete as the closer would be really nice. And we hope to see. I think similarly to Bilal and J-Lo, I think we'll see Pete maybe take a week or so, get a couple of good appearances in, and then we'll see him back up. I don't think it's going to be overly long, but again, I target maybe going back on the road or maybe the last series of the homestand for to see Pete back up.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It could be this time next week we see our closer and two of our 5 best position players return to the roster.
Yes.
What a boost that would be. What a boost that would be
What
to
a
this
boost
lineup.
that would be.
Also, it's Taj may return to the lineup in the next couple of weeks as well, because he's been looking really good. He's still got a couple of command things that he's going to probably work on. I'd say he's probably like two good outings away from coming back to the team, but that would lighten the load as well on the likes of Alexander and the back end of the rotation as well. It's also worth noting that Shane Bars has been rehabbing. He did some extended spring games, and apparently today he's going to pitch 4 innings with the Bulls. So that's really exciting as well. If he can pitch 4 quality innings, then you can start to ramp up him. He could be back by the end of the month, potentially, if his outings go well. Maybe the start of June might be more realistic, but he's not that far away. And perhaps one of the best bits of news that we heard was that on the 20th of May, Jeffrey Springs will pitch an extended spring game. And that means that he is on the latter stages of his recovery process.
I mean, that is news, like just music to my ears, hearing Jeffrey Springs pitching, hopefully in a Rays uniform, very soon, maybe in a Bulls uniform first and then in a Rays uniform. I'm so excited to hear that. To think that by the end of June, we could have Taj, Boz, and Springs all available at the major league level is just crazy. I mean, it's going to get, it's going to get crazy very soon. I made the joke about whether or not roster crunch is a societal construct or not, but we're really going to test the limits of that in the next couple of weeks. When you look at all these guys, we just talked about 6 or 7 guys. Aranda is still rehabbing, and he could come up even sooner than the rest of those guys because he's been looking pretty good. So we could see Aranda back up even sooner. So there is so many guys that are performing well and are rehabbing well, and that can be impact players in this lineup and in this rotation and maybe in the bullpen. Who knows? We'll see. I'm curious to see what their plans are when bringing guys like Boz and Taj back up. Like, somebody's got to go to the bullpen. I'm like, Alexander's the obvious one, but somebody else is going to have to go to the bullpen or go somewhere else, it would seem. Like, because when you look at a rotation, you think it's got to be like the Zacks are like locked in as starters. Papio is locked in as a starter. And then you like Taj is a starter, obviously, and then you're talking about what do you do? Like, where's Savali? Into this, is he still a starter? And then what do you do with Boz?
Savali is running out of time.
It's really weird.
Yeah, Savali's running out of time. If he can't get it together fast, he might be someone that gets looked to be moved on. Alexander seems like the obvious choice, but even he's been pitching better. His last few outings. But again, I think you can move him to like a swingman role, like a bulk innings role. Like if you need 2 innings out of the bullpen or 3 innings out of the bullpen from a guy, he could do that.
He would be an upgrade over Erasmo in that role.
Yeah, exactly. And you could trust him in slightly higher leverage than Erasmo as well.
Yes.
But yeah, Savali is a guy that you have to take a look at and go, if you can't get it together, what's happening with you? And then, that accounts for 2 spots, but that's Bars and Bradley, I guess, in the near term. But then when Springs comes back, what do you do?
Right. What do you do? And that's where it gets really, really interesting. I don't know. Is somebody going to be moved on from? Is somebody going to learn how to pitch from the bullpen? Is someone going to learn bullpen? I don't know. It could Savali, could Savali or Boz be like a super high leverage reliever, like insane type of guy that could go back there? Are we going to see like a 6-man rotation or some complete nonsense, which I wouldn't put it past the Rays, or like a starter 5.5, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things they could do. The roster spots are going to get hard to come by really, really quickly. It's the same thing on the offensive side. When guys like Brandon Lau, Josh Lowe, Aranda, they start to come up, you start to talk about moving down some guys that you really like. You start to think, man, does Rosie have to go? Does Palacios have to go down? It gets really sticky, and it's good problems to have because you're adding impact pieces, but it's going to get real sticky, and we'll talk about it more as it gets closer, which is probably going to be sooner than later, but it's going to get real sticky. And roster crunch is a societal construct, so something will probably happen to make it really simple, but right now it's tough to see what that might be.
Exactly. I guess one thing that makes it slightly easier is I would now expect Aranda to not be imminent just because of how much he has struggled in his rehab. He's played 5 games and he's 0 for 19.
Not good.
Yeah, so I would expect when the I can't remember exactly how long a rehab assignment can last in terms of games. There's like a limit on it.
Yeah.
I think when the limit happens, they're gonna just option him
option
to
him.
and get him back to and wait for kind of him to get locked in before calling him back up. Because right now, again, who do you send down apart from Shenton, I suppose? But Shenton's going to get sent down before Aranda comes back because of Lau and Low. So it's like, would you really want to bring up a struggling Aranda over a Mead that's starting to put better at bats together? It would be tough to make that call for me personally.
Yeah, it's good. There's going to be some really tough calls. If nobody gets hurt or starts just playing really bad, it's going to get really, really tough. I mean, I think, there's some guys that are 100% safe, but I think you're totally right that Shenton and Mead are like easy casualties. I've said this a couple of times. I think we may be seeing the end of the Harold Ramirez era. And of course, he hit to like a 188 WRC plus over the last week or some nonsense. So, I mean, whatever.
He hits almost 4 last night.
I'm done with like trying to predict what he's going to do. I don't know. But I do know that like at the end of the day, he is what he is. Like he's not going to develop anymore. And we're looking at guys who could develop into something more than even the highest like level of what Ramirez is when you talk about guys like Josh Lowe and what Brandon Lau is and we know him to be, and then potentially guys like Aranda. And of course, Junior Caminero, who continues to hit the cover off the baseball. Really nice of the Bulls to sit him in the second half of the the game the day after the doubleheader and give us hope that they were going to bring him up. It was real nice. That hurt my feelings.
That was an interesting call. That was a really interesting call. That could simply be that we're facing a lot of right-handers over the next week.
Yeah.
And they're like, we'd rather have Shenton on the roster against all these right-handers again than Caminero as like a matchup thing. We'd rather like get Caminero in there against some lefties, which are not upcoming. I think we're only facing one lefty for sure between now and halfway through the Boston series, which is Nestor Cortez against the Yankees is lined up to face us. But that's the only lefty starter that's lined up to face us between now and mid-May. So maybe that's the reason behind it. But I don't think Caminero's far away. Hey, we're 15 and 18, which is not a great record, but it's not atrocious. We're not the Marlins, who are already selling off pieces. We're not... Yeah, we're not the White Sox, even though they swept us. We've still got more than double their win total. And we are about to be in about a week to a week and a half's time, be as close to a fully healthy lineup without Wanda as you could possibly get.
Yep.
And then that's where the results are going to be like, okay, are we winning now? Because if we are, we can go, of course, it was just the injuries. If we're still not putting together better offensive performances, then sure, we can have a discussion. But for me, I'm like, let's wait until we've actually got the lineup we're supposed to have, which is about to happen.
Right.
And then if we go on a run, we can all be like, see, told you.
See, told you.
So
yeah, and I completely agree. I think we are about to come into a hot streak. I'm not going to make any specific predictions on that because I'm very bad at that, but I do think things are moving in the right direction. I think the vibes are immaculate from the City Connect stuff, and just the atmosphere of the Trop looked electric last night. I hope that continues over the weekend series. It's the Mets are a fun. There's going to be some Mets fans in there too, unfortunately. But it's going to be a fun series. We've got some really fun series coming up next week. Some exciting baseball, some important baseball. It's going to be played. We've talked a little bit about how important are these series and how important are these games being played, because a lot of them have been on the road, a lot of them have been against out of conference teams. But when we look at this week upcoming, it's a home series against the White Sox. We'd like to win that and then you got a home series versus the Yankees. Then you go on the road to Boston and Toronto, and then Boston at home. So over these next couple of weeks, there's some really important baseball, and it seems like the Rays are getting healthy at just the right time. When you look at that off day before the Yankees series, I would not be surprised if we see some moves either during that off day or after that off day to get ready for that Yankees series.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you're saying. I mean, we've got Littell pitching tonight against a debuting Mets prospect in Christian Scott. That's it, Christian Scott.
Christian Scott.
And then Pepio's pitching the finale against Luis Severino, a name we're all familiar with from the other side of New York. And then we got the White Sox favorable series, like you said. I've just had a look at the June schedule. I hope we're fully healthy and ready to go for the June schedule, because we've got the first 7 of the first 9 games in June are against the Orioles. We have a 3-game set against the Orioles, 2 games against the Marlins, and then 4 against the Orioles, followed by the Cubs, followed by the Braves, followed by the Twins. So these are all division favorites.
Yeah. Well, and the good thing is the 4-game set against Baltimore and the following series against Chicago are at home. So that's a good thing. That's the benefit there. But going on the road to Atlanta, which I'm hoping to be there for. And then the Minnesota series on the road, which they've been playing, they're on like a 11-game win streak or something crazy right now.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll cool off by then. And even Pittsburgh had a hot start and then not so good, but then we have Seattle at home after that. So you're right. June's a tough month. So it's a good thing we're getting some guys back now, because I think we'll need them for the upcoming month.
Yeah. So I think lots of reason for optimism. It's amazing what playing in a different uniform can do for the vibes. Yeah. And hopefully the vibes will continue to be this good. There is a helicopter flying over my flat right now. I'm sorry if you can hear that.
Yeah, the vibes can only be better because today's May the 4th. May the 4th be with you all. As you can see, I'm donning my Star Wars merch under my Rays merch because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. If you've not picked up on that from following me on Twitter, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Do you partake in May the 4th, Pat?
I do partake in May the 4th. I'm a big Star Wars guy myself. I guess the best way to farm engagement for this podcast would be to say, I like The Last Jedi, come at me.
What's funny about that is I would rate it like a 7 out of 10, which is more than some people would. I like a lot of the things they did there. It's the best shot Star Wars film, in my opinion. The issue is that there was no overarching plan for the sequel trilogy, and that's why the things went the way they did, because there was no continuous through line of storylines for the main cast, and then completely shelved Finn for reasons we won't discuss, because Disney had to market in China. Anyway, bad stuff. This is not a Star Wars pod, but the sequel trilogy could have been so much better, and it's unfortunate that it wasn't. But you know what? I love Star Wars. There's a new Tales of the Empire series coming out. Bad Batch finale just happened. If you are not a Star Wars fan, you should be, and now is the right time to be a Star Wars fan because lots of really cool stuff coming out right now.
Yeah, I mean, I wish the Rays had like a Star Wars themed.
There's a Star Wars night in I think on the 21st of May, they have like a Star Wars themed hat, which I'm really jealous that I'm not going to be able to get because I'm not going to be there. But they do have a Star Wars night later on. But it would be the Bulls have some Star Wars unis that are really, really cool that I've been meaning to get one of.
I think they're re-airing the Star Wars movies tonight in my local cinema. So maybe I'm going to go do that. Anyway, Star Wars pod. Maybe we'll do, if the Rays are like completely out of it in September, we'll just talk about Star Wars.
We'll do a Star Wars pod. So that's, hey, even if this team doesn't perform well, which they will perform well, but even if they don't, this podcast is still going to be the place to be. Thank all of you for watching along with us. If you're watching along live, thank you for watching us live. Give us a like. If you're watching us for the first time live, that's awesome. If you liked what you saw, drop us a follow. If you're returning, thanks guys for continuing to return. Drop us that like, drop us that subscribe, follow us so you get the notification the next time we go live. But that's going to be our show, guys. Thanks to all of you for watching us live. And for those of you who are watching us not live, thank you guys for watching us. We're going to have a great week in Rays baseball coming up. It's going to be a good week.
Absolutely. I'll see you after the 6-game winning streak.
Yes, it's gonna be a 6-game winning streak. We're gonna totally let's see, who are we gonna beat? We're gonna totally sweep the White Sox. We're gonna totally sweep the Yankees, and we might sweep Boston on the road too. That would be kind of fun if we did. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, see you when we're atop the division this time next week.
Yes, this time next week we will be somehow the Orioles will lose a bunch of games, the Yankees will lose other games than to us, and we'll be atop of the division. So raise up.
Raise up.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLI Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.